The book that I wrote in 1998, so 21 years ago, I was curious at the time with all these cultures around the world that do eat insects, and I've been cooking with insects all over the world, basically, ever since then. When I wrote the book, it was kind of an unusual thing. Over time, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN came out with this great report explaining why we all should be eating more bugs. It inspired my publisher to re-release my book.
You know, in America, it's like, I want to grill my steak, I need my meat and my hamburger and my hot dog. And food's a very emotional thing, so changing patterns is very difficult, and it's important to kind of emphasize that we're not asking anyone to give up anything, just to also welcome in like a new cultural cuisine.
I don't see the world jumping towards eating physical bugs. And also I feel it's not quite versatile. The powder you could put in everything. The whole crickets is a little bit harder to use in day-to-day usage. And one of our largest customers puts it in dog food and does put it in the ingredients that it's there, but it's not a value add for them. They're just replacing conventional proteins that they were using with cricket powder. And on the promotional end, like we have a lot of educational chefs and promoters going around to events and just promoting entomology and the practice of consuming bugs.
Through Bugable, which is my platform, and then NASIA, which is the North American Coalition for Insect Agriculture. It's our trade organization. Well, I get to just go out and be an unofficial cheerleader for them. And the wine pairings in particular, all set up with different restaurants or wine bars. We'll do it at universities or at cooking schools. And it's normally 5 to 6 wines. We'll set it up like a traditional wine pairing, but we'll pair 2 to 3 bugs with each wine and focus on the flavor. At events, there's people who really are there for the education. Then you have people that are chefs and actually interested in pushing the boundary. What is the next big thing in food? And I have never met somebody I couldn't convince. Once they taste it, I think they realize it's actually not a big deal. And then something else hopefully grabs them and keeps them engaged in another way.
It was my wife who actually said, well, you enjoy making pasta. Can we incorporate crickets in pasta somehow? And I said, we'll give it a go. We'll see what happens. And it turns out really, really nice. The great thing about cricket is they take up very little space. The main problem for insects and people trying to get into it is, well, especially in the UK, is we don't have a lot of farms. So we end up having to import from either Europe, and mine come from Canada, or we go to Thailand. I
come from the cattle industry, and I've gotten to see what you get, I guess, out of cows, and it just makes no sense to me. I felt like this was just first of all, a very humane way to raise protein. The insects get to live a full, normal life in an incredibly beautiful habitat. The inputs are very low. We feed them now less than 2 pounds of food to get 1 pound of product at the end. We use almost no water. I mean, we're running this quite large operation off of a very small drilled well. It's very non-labor intensive, which is a big expense for us in Canada. You can operate this much more efficiently than you could, say, an organic plant-based protein farm. At 6,000 square feet, you can bring a revenue of over $150,000 a month, which in most agricultural setting, that's not possible.
The biggest need for the industry is venture capital, or not just venture capital, but financing of different sorts. So I'm working with a couple partners across the globe to put together the first industry-specific venture capital fund. We're exploring exactly how best to meet the needs of companies across the globe, whether it's different programming or mentoring, or just making sure that we have capital of different sorts. In doing all the research for that and in having those early conversations, we've really seen that one, people do want to invest for impact. They genuinely care about making businesses that have benefit beyond financial return, in addition to financial return. Our goal will be to do this as proof of concept and also to de-risk whatever fears other investors that might be interested have, and that might not be first movers, but might be fast followers.
We're in a very, very small conservative town in British Columbia. And I mean, we're getting more and more locals consuming the product. And I do believe that if this town here can get into consuming insect powder, the rest of the world will have no problem.
You've got IKEA coming on board. McDonald's and Tesco are looking at black soldier fly for recycling some food waste.
A lot of great people like the Chipool and Chirps and Aspire Food Group and Entomo in Ontario, I think have done an amazing job at getting the industry to where it is today. I do personally believe that now it needs to be treated more like a commodity agricultural product.
I am not totally over my fear of live insects, so you don't even have to be okay with bugs when they're alive to be okay with them when they're dead.